Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Holy crap, this lighting is terrible. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to be doing videos and things now that I've had to switch now that I've moved. But we're working on it. And speaking of things that took me a long time to figure out, today we're reviewing the Kizer Begleiter XL. This is a White Mountain Knives exclusive. And everyone knows about this knife. It probably needs no introduction. So let's go ahead and get right into our measurements. And we will start this review. How can I bring more light over here? You know what? Just a sec. You know what? That's better. We'll go with that. Yeehaw! Oh boy. Alright, so let's measure this blade here. We can see here that we're coming in. Let's get down to there. 4 inches. It's a 4-inch blade. And then the overall length of this knife, about 9 inches. So yeah, big boy knife, as you might expect, since it's called the Kizer Begleiter XL. Alright, let's bring out our rats. Here is our, you know what, we'll do the logo down top. Rat 2. Here's our rat 1. Pretty similar in size to rat 1, actually. Let's get these on screen a little bit better. Yeah, pretty similar in size to rat 1. So, cool. Next, let's bring out our PM2. There we go. And here's our bug out. There we go. Awesome. Awesome. Let's bring out our Civivis. There's the Elementum. And there's the Praxis. Nice. And to close off comparisons here, because I think we have to, here is a regular Kizer Begleiter. And we'll bring out this button lock CGRB Feldspar. That's also White Mountain Knives exclusive. I don't have very many Kizers, but yeah. So this is probably the most pertinent size comparison that we've done. The XL Begleiter versus a regular Begleiter 2. This one happens to be one of the denim ones. Pretty cool little knife. Let's get that out of the way. So, it's been quite a journey with this knife, guys. Quite a journey. I've had this knife for a long time. And, yeah, it's taken me a long time to sort out my thoughts on it. So, without further ado, let's go and I'll go ahead and jump into some cutting footage that I took months ago. And, yeah, this is probably going to be a long review, guys. Probably going to be a long review. Alrighty. Whoa, get this adjusted. Alrighty, let's talk about the Kizer Begleiter XL. Big boy knife. Button lock, obviously. Let's get into it. What do I think about the action? It's very, very good. This is probably one of the most satisfying button locks I've ever felt. Very, very nice. Especially once you get the lock stick worked down a little bit. When I first got this, the lock stick was pretty bad. After I disassembled it and did some messing around, the lock stick is a lot more manageable. So, very, very good action. No complaints there. How are the ergos? This knife feels a lot more XL in the handle than it does in the blade. The handle, it's a big handle. Fat, blocky, and you know, usually I like big handles because they give you a lot of grip, and this knife is comfortable, but it does feel like there's a lot of handle, at least for me. At least in my hands, it feels like there's a lot of handle compared to the blade that you're getting. So, the ergos are nice. The jimping is very well done. It's very comfortable, just feels a little bit off balance to me. Just a little bit, and it's not really a big deal. How's it carry? very nice Kizer clip. I love Kizer's clips. Come over here, tilt down. Go over here. There we go. Goes in, comes out very nicely. Great clip. In the pocket, I mean, it's a big knife. It doesn't bother me that much. It's like a 5-ounce knife, so that might bother some people, but for me, it's just not that big of a deal. Okay. How does it cut? So we have this really big 4-inch stone-washed drop point 154 cm blade. Get over here, box. All right. And it's about 17 thousandths behind the edge. So very slicey. Really good slicing performance in my opinion. Especially for such a big knife. Really good. Okay. Let's do our little rope cut. I expect it'll do good here too. Very nice. Let's tilt down here. Oops. It did okay on the push cuts. Did okay. In order to get a lot of leverage down there, I would have had to really reach up to kind of an uncomfortable position with my arm, but not too bad. Let's see how they did on the grinding. Ooh, get off that sticker. I think I can go pretty thin. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Very good flat grind. It felt really nice going through the pool noodle. Didn't feel it binding up or anything. Really good. All right. Let's go back to the table. All right, okay. A little bit of a break. An interruption from the review. So besides coming out here today to do the review cutting, I also came out here looking for fluorite, which, yes, I did find some. Thank you for asking. But I've also found some other cool stuff, such as this. An old mine shaft. Interesting. Very interesting. Pretty cool. Okay, back to the review. Just thought I'd share. Hey guys, did you enjoy that super positive cutting demonstration that I did with the Kizer Begleiter XL? Well, I hate to bust your bubble, but I have more to say. I know this is kind of atypical of my review format, but this knife has been giving me hell, and I want to talk about it. So I don't have a whole lot of button lock experience. Like, I haven't used a whole lot of button lock knives, and so that was one of the reasons I was really excited to get my hands on this knife, because I wanted to really test out a button lock and see what I thought. And the cutting footage that I took, that was like 3 days after I got the knife. When I do my cutting footage varies, but I always carry the knife until I know enough about it to review it. In the case of this knife here, I got this in February, and I'm filming this in May. And this knife has been very difficult to review. So first thing I started noticing was that the detent would get really hard to the point where you could not open the knife. It felt like it was locked up. And I watched a video that Jared Neves did where he talked about how to fix that problem, because apparently it's a common issue with the Begleiter XL button locks. And so after I watched that video, I talked to some other people, heard that some other people are having issues as well. And so then I tried Jared's fix. And I'm not going to tell you what the fix is here. You should go watch his video. It's a lot better, but basically it's just the button, the micarta like shifts around and the button gets kind of put at a weird angle, and so that causes the detent to feel a lot stronger. So I fixed that. Everything was good. After I did that fix, I thought everything was good. So I started carrying the knife, using the knife, and fairly quickly other problems started to arise. So right here you can see the detent is like super strong again, but this time there's like tons of blade play, and sometimes it won't even lock up. Like, hear that? And then you can kind of shake it into place. That's weird. The button feels kind of mushy. Sometimes it won't lock up at all. It's been getting better if you like really and see, there's a completely solid lockup. No blade play at all. No lock rock, nothing. Which I know button locks can, you know, they have, well, kick my camera. They have a little bit of lock rock, some of them. This one, I adjusted it. Obviously, I took this knife apart and stuff because I dyed the scales. And then I did the Jared Neves button lock or button fix, or whatever it is. I got this knife adjusted to where the action is really good. And when it does lock up, it is rock solid, like a bank vault. And still good button lock action. But see, now we're back to that rattly, like not securely locked up type of stuff. It's really, really weird. And it's something that I hate, to be quite honest. I really, really hate it. I've been fighting with this knife for months, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe take it apart again. It's a solid lockup. I'm just not a big fan. So earlier today I actually watched Metal Complex's video on the new Civivi. It's a sheep's foot button lock. The name, everyone pronounced it differently. I've just been calling it the Civivi Chevy. But I watched his video of that this morning, and in it, I mean, we all know how Metal Complex is. You know, he's got to poke fun at someone in every video. And he was talking about how people have concerns about the solidity of a button lock's lockup. And so he did like a little spine whack test, and he said, oh, you know, this is a ridiculous test. If you're worried about that, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's ridiculous to worry about that. You know, 9 out of 10 people aren't going to have any problems. And while I do agree with that to a point, this knife in particular, I've heard a lot of people having problems with. And also, I'm one of those people that kind of falls into the doesn't know how to feel about button lockup, because it's not the initial lockup that's a problem. It's not, you know, you take it out of the box and do some spine whacks and see what happens. I think most people who are worried about button lockup worry about the longevity of that lockup. Because that's what my worry is. Because this knife, out of the box to today, it's a different knife. It really is. Out of the box, fidgety, great action, solid lockup, loved it. You can check out my unboxing video. Loved it. In fact, I loved it so much that the day after I got it, I took it apart to dye the scales, put back together, running wonderfully. Then I had the whole issue I already talked about, fixed that, and now I'm having the weird inconsistencies with lockup. And it hasn't failed yet, while I've been filming this video, but there have definitely been times where I've deployed this knife and it has not locked up. So I'm kind of worried about button lock longevity. I'm not sure how long a button lock will retain its strength, because there's a little more fine tuning that goes into a button lock than goes into you know, a frame lock or liner lock or something. That spring that's inside the button that provides the pressure to push outward, to me at least, I see that being a little bit of a weak spot sometimes. And also, spine whacking a knife is not a dumb test. I do that all the time. If your knife doesn't lock up, that's an issue. And, yeah. Anyways, let's go to the review. Alrighty. Excuse the messy hair. This is it for the Kizer Begleiter XL. I'm going to try and fix him one more time. And if I can't fix this knife... Oh, it locked up. Kind of. If I can't fix this knife this time, I'm not going to do a review. I am just going to basically post a video expressing my disappointment and explaining what kind of crap this is. It's so weird. I've had up to here with this knife. So hopefully you're seeing this as part of a review and not just a video completely bashing this knife. See, that's so weird. Like right now, it's technically being held in, but if I do it like it's all rattly, and then okay, we're gonna try to repair this and we'll see. Guys, I really miss my old filming studio, like a lot. Oh, this is horrible. This is terrible lighting and my background looks like crap. I only have one rock and one dinosaur. Oh, guys, we're gonna have to get something sorted out here. Yeah, that ain't gonna fly. That ain't gonna fly. Okay, what are we gonna do? Well, let's see here. Nope, still not good. I could probably turn up the brightness when I could increase the brightness when I'm editing, but I really don't want to do that. I'd rather just have a good filming location. Let's try this again. Alright, you know what? Let's get that back. Shall we do something we've never done before? Shall we do a review where you guys are just staring at my ugly mug the whole time? I'm sure it's what we've all wanted, right? Not me. But, you know what? Until I get something else figured out, maybe this is the best I can do. And maybe this will be nice. You guys won't be staring at my hands so close up. We're starting to get into that time of the year where my hands are always going to look horrible, dirty, and callous and stuff, because I'm not at college anymore. I'm working in the woods, so. Okay then. Man, I really, this doesn't feel like my channel at all. There's no dinosaurs, no rocks here. You know what? Dinosaur, Zacryposaurus. One of my favorite hadrosaurs. And then, rock. We have this granite I found. Nice big feldspar crystal in there. This is kind of sad, but you know what? This review also isn't a typical review, so maybe it works. Let's give it a shot. All right, enough procrastinating. Let's just do the damn thing. Okay, so Kizer Begleiter XL White Mountain Knives exclusive. I did not go over the materials when we were at the table, but we are looking at micarta scales a 154 cm. I kind of want to call this a spear point blade, drop point, whatever you want to call it. It's that shape. And it's a button lock with steel liners and a steel pocket clip. So, let's go ahead and start off with what I'm liking. And first of all, this is a good looking knife, right? Really, really like that. It's a Azo design. Is that how you say it? I hope. But yeah, it's a good looking knife. Love that blade shape, and it's very attractive. So I like that a whole lot. I guess one more thing to note is these scales were dyed by me. As you can see, I did kind of this blue gradient to a black color. Didn't turn out exactly how I wanted, but it's okay. So, yeah, I like the looks. Next thing I like, the jimping. Look at that. That is excellent jimping. Something that I complain about more than anything else is jimping, because I feel like a lot of companies get it wrong, both in terms of texture and how far along the blade they place it. So, we can see here, it goes a good long ways. You got a nice amount of jimping. My thumb is here, and look, there's still jimping. I can still go up a little bit. That's really good. I like to see that. The texturing is really good. It's not exactly like the file-like jimping on this Begleiter 2, but it's good jimping. It's got a good texture, and I really, really do like that. Next thing, the thumb studs are pretty good, nice and comfortable. I do appreciate that. That is nice. Okay. The blade, let's go on to that. The blade is really nice. 154 cm is a great steel. This has a stonewash finish, and it's a pretty good stonewash. I've seen better, but I've also seen much worse. It's a pretty good stonewash. We can show that off. So yeah, I like that a whole lot. The blade itself comes down to about 17 thousandths behind the edge. It's a flat grind. Slices really, really well. You get a lot of power in your cuts. Really, really nice. The blade shape I already mentioned. It's a good, usable blade shape. Excuse me. And yeah, I just really appreciate it. It worked very well. Great, great knife for just breaking down cardboard. And the thing is it's not overly thick. Let's bring out the other one. I mean, you can definitely tell it's thicker, but it's not like annoyingly thick. It's not chunky. It's a very... To me, it's a very well-profiled blade. It's a 4-inch blade, but it feels a lot more nimble and maneuverable than 4 inches would have you believe, so that's really cool. Good sharpening choil. No problems with that. The pocket clip is really nice. It is reversible, which I like to see. I like these clips from Kizer. They're broad, which means they're not going to be like super noticeable in the hand, and you know, deep carry. They're not recessed, but the screws are flat, and they don't cause much of a problem. I'm a big fan of this clip. It's pretty nice clip. And yeah, that about wraps up what I like. Oh wait, the micarta is a good texture. This is good micarta. It feels very, very nice, very high quality. Okay, before we go into my dislikes, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the action, because we'll get into that, but the action itself is really good. Flipper works great. Thumb studs are where it's at. The thumb stud is the best means of deployment on this knife. Bam, it just rockets it out of there. Multi-row bearings in here. Whoops, that was my fault. And when you push that button, it just drops. Really, really cool. You can reverse flick it, which is nice. But yeah, the action is absolutely fantastic once you get it dialed in. So, fin finish on this knife is good out of the box. As you can see, mine is centered again. But yeah, out of the box, this knife is very fidgety, very fun, and yeah. But, unfortunately, there's a big but. And not in the good way, because big butts are off. Oh gosh, Gideon, stop. Let's just go on to the bad. Gosh, you're poisoning my brain. Alright. the dislikes. The horrible, horrible dislikes. Let's go ahead and just start simple. Number one, I seem to have trouble with Kizer hardware. I don't hear a whole lot of people talk about this too much, but for me, Kizer hardware can sometimes strip out a little bit. I did strip out one of these screws, but the other thing too is I have no idea what size these screws are. In fact, just a second. So the screws are all the same size, pivot as well as body screws, which is nice. But the thing is so here's my driver with a T8 bit, and the T8 bit like fits in here, but there's a lot there's some play. Like it fits, and it'll turn the screws, but it can also like skip, and it doesn't feel great. It's like, okay, whatever, no biggie. Go ahead and grab you a T9. Grab a T9, put it in there. It also fits, but it's a little tight, and it doesn't go all the way down to the screw. It just kind of sits at the top, and so it will also turn the screw. So, are they T8s or T9s? I don't know. Whatever they are, they're not milled out exactly right for that size. So, interesting. Okay. Yeah, screws are a little bit weird. Sometimes with some of these back screws, this happened on a couple of Kizer knives. If you're not careful, like they're free spinning. Like you turn one and then the whole thing's spinning. You have to get another driver in the back, and that's annoying. But it's handleable, manageable. That's a word, manageable. So, anyways, yes, there's that. Next thing, I don't like this flipper tab. So, it works okay on the deployment. It works okay when you have the action dialed in nicely. We're getting to that. It works okay, but when the knife is open, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of the QSP Hawk flipper tab, except the Hawk flipper tab has jimping here, so like it's easier to get up there. And you can get up here on this knife, but it's not something I like to do, and I'll go into that later. I just think the flipper tab's a little bit ugly and stuff, and well, we'll talk about this now. You've seen the videos, of course, already of me saying, wow, this knife is giving me a lot of problems locking up and stuff. When this knife was locking up and not opening, there was one time I went to flip this flipper tab, and since the knife was stuck, oh my gosh, it bruised my finger so bad. It was awful. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of flipper tab's fault, but it's more of the issue we'll get into here in a little bit. Next thing I want to talk about are the ergonomics. They look great, right? They're completely neutral. In fact, the ergonomics, in a lot of ways, are pretty much identical to that of the original Begleiter, or the Begleiter 2, whatever. However, this knife just felt a little bit awkward to me when I was trying to use it. And it's weird because the blade, it's a big knife, right? It's a big knife, okay? So it's not going to feel like this knife. But it felt really awkward. Like the blade does not feel like a huge blade. It feels very manageable and very usable. But this handle, very chunky. I don't usually complain about that because usually chunkiness means the ergos are better. But it's very chunky and kind of blocky. And I just felt like there's so much handle. Now, I do not have the biggest hands in the world. I don't. But I regularly EDC a 4MAX Scout to work. And this knife just fits my hand so much better. It feels much more usable. It feels much more manageable. That word again. Choke up in here if I'm doing some push cuts. Choke back here if I'm chopping or just making a cut. This knife feels really, really well balanced. Whereas the Begleiter 2 doesn't. And for one thing, like the balance point is right there. Right there. No, that is unacceptable. What it feels like is the knife wants to like just sit in your hand like this, pointing up, because the back is so heavy. And it feels like there's a lot of handle to blade. And I mean, you close it and it doesn't really appear to be that way. It appears like there's pretty good blade to handle ratio. But in hand, this knife just felt so much bigger than it actually was. And in pocket too. And I don't usually complain about that either. This knife just felt kind of awkwardly proportioned to me. And so the blade was excellent, but I found that it was hard to use this really awesome blade with this handle that just feels kind of odd. And like I said, you can like choke up on the flipper tab here, but why would you do this? Now, it's like, you know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like getting your Cold Steel Espada and being like, oh, I need to open this package. I'm going to grab this here, and I want to show this knife on screen for so long. Oh, that makes me laugh so much. This knife feels better balanced than this one. What kind of world are we living in? But, yeah, the ergonomics for me just didn't work out that great. And maybe it's not even the ergonomics, because there's a firefighter plane going over. Because the ergos are pretty neutral, and so it does feel pretty good in hand. But it feels awkward. It feels bulky. It feels disproportional. And it's really, really weird. Really, really weird to me. So that's not good. All right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. This knife gave me so much hell. So, first of all, when I first got this knife, you can check out my unboxing, I was ecstatic. I was so happy. It was everything I wanted it to be. Action was perfect out of the box. Oh my goodness. I get it. I get it. I know why everyone loves button locks right now. Oh, you know, and giving me a knife-gasm. And then, here's the thing. The day after I got this was when I dyed the scales. Took it apart, dyed the scales, put it back together. It was still working beautifully. Day after that, I went, I did the cutting footage that I showed for this video. I recorded that then. And then I was using this knife. I was carrying nothing but this knife, pretty much. I was going to do a review very fast because I was like, wow, I'm carrying this knife so much. I'm gonna figure it out pretty fast and I can do a review pretty soon. What happened instead was it started getting, no matter how hard I tried, it wouldn't open. And it happened kind of slowly, like a little bit by little. And I was like, well, this is awful. So I went looking, and Jared Neves over at Neves Knives has a great video on how to fix this issue. And I'm not going to go over it here. I'm going to try to remember to link his video in the description below. You should definitely check that out. It's a very good video, very informative. And so I used his little trick. Basically what happens is my carder just slides weird and like makes a button go a little bit odd. So it like increases your detent. And so I did his fix. Basically, you know, you just do the screws one at a time and Loctite him and stuff. Watch his video. And the knife was working beautifully once again. So everything was fine. Or so I thought. I got this knife because, number one, I thought it was awesome. But number two, because at the time it came out, everyone was going batshit for button locks. Everyone was, button locks, button locks, button locks! And I wanted a piece of that pie. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get me in a button lock. The Begleiter XL is really hype right now. I remember, leading up to it being released, everyone was like frothing at the mouth. And I was like, you know what? I want a piece of that. I'm going to get that knife. I'm going to, you know, see what things are like. Really test out a button lock. Because I hadn't had too much experience with button locks before this. And so I got it. had those issues. But after I fixed those issues using the Neves method, I decided that I was going to make a video. I hard use EDC'd a button lock for blank amount of time. And I want to take this knife out to work this summer in the woods and stuff and really test it out and see what I thought about it. But, you know, at the time I had this idea, I was still at college and stuff, and I was like, you know what, I want to just kind of start my testing. And so I went and I got I got a ton of cardboard out of a dumpster and some pretty thick, heavy-duty stuff. I started breaking this cardboard down, long, powerful slices. I was going to set up the camera and film, and, you know, I've got the knife out, and all of a sudden, clink! I'm like, oh no, the lock disengaged. Oh no, that's not supposed to happen. And so, you know, I closed the knife, I flicked it open, it locked up, everything seemed fine. Closed it, everything seemed fine. Opened it, okay. Went to cutting, do some more cutting, and then, again, it closed on me. And both times I almost took my finger off. And so after the second time, I was like, well, screw this. So I threw all the cardboard back in the dumpster, and I was like, what's going on with this knife? So for the next couple of days, I just kind of sat there playing with it, and I noticed things were happening. Things were starting to change and evolve, or actually devolve. And you saw some of the videos I already showed, but basically, sometimes they would open up completely, but it'd rattle. I was like, well, I don't like that. I don't like that. And then other times it wouldn't lock up all the way. The detent got where it was like either super light or super strong from one day to the next. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So actually what ended up happening was I got sick and tired of this knife. Like, I was constantly trying to do the Jared Neves fix. I disassembled it and reassembled it twice, and nothing really helped. After, if I like started to do some hard cutting again, it started to go a little bit odd. And I was like, I'm done with it. So I actually put it away, and I didn't think about it for, geez, probably about a month. I was just that mad. I was giving it the silent treatment. And so then, just a couple of days ago, I pulled it out, and I'm like, okay, we can give this another shot. It was still sucky, but I decided to take it apart again and try and fix it. And so this time when I took it apart, I made sure that I cleaned the spring really well. I made sure that I made sure I did everything exactly right. I put it back together, and that was a few days ago. I've done some cutting with it since. And it's working great. It's working the way it should. It's not quite as awesome as it was out of the box, I guess. And there is button stick now, which on a button lock doesn't actually bother me that much. But the thing is, I don't know what I did to fix it. I really don't. I don't know why this time taking it apart and putting it back together worked when before it hadn't. And I don't like that, because I like to know things. I like to know things. And this knife's been holding up fine in, let's see, what's it been? 9 days since I fixed it. It's been holding up fine. I've been using it, no problems at all. Is it going to stay that way? And again, what the heck did I do that, geez, I need to trim the beard. And again, what the heck did I do that fixed it? If I don't know what the issue was, I can't fix it again. If it happens again, I'm just going to be blindly shooting in the dark until maybe I get it fixed. So that was not great. And in fact, it's a huge blemish on this knife. A huge, huge blemish. Very ugly. So, let's go ahead and go into my final conclusions. My final conclusions are that this was a knife that I was super excited for. I was so hyped about this knife. I had very high expectations. And for the most part, it took my expectations behind the Walmart and beat the crap out of them and shoved them in a dumpster. It's interesting. I don't like doing negative reviews. I really don't. And even now, I kind of hate doing this video. But there are, most of the time, if I have a knife that I know is going to get a negative review after I've been using it for a little while, I'll just quietly pass it on. Because, number one, I don't want to use it anymore. I just want it out of my life. Number two, why would I make a video where I'm just like, yeah, this is just, not good? There's 2 times where I will make negative reviews. One, when the knife is just so bad it has comedic value to make a video. Or 2, when it's a knife that I had very high hopes for and it turned out to be a dud. And this falls into that category. This made me really distrust button locks in general for a while. And I have some button locks in now that I've been using. One I've been using hard. I've been hard using, and the other one's been more of an EDC knife. And they've both been doing great. They have a couple of little quirks. I wouldn't say button locks are my favorite thing ever, but they've been doing a lot better than this one did. And so that's good. Kind of reinvigorated my enthusiasm for button locks, I guess. But like this knife here, I'm not going to do a video about hard using button locks with this knife because I don't trust it. I just don't trust it. And it's so weird because this is a really cool knife. This is a really, really cool knife. And in a lot of ways, I really do enjoy it. It's a big, badass button lock, and that's cool. And if it wasn't for all of the technical issues that I had with it, I would give this knife yeah, definitely pick this up because it's awesome, it's fidgety. My biggest complaints with the ergonomics and the hardware, and you know what? Maybe someone else's hands who aren't identical to mine will enjoy the ergonomics better. It would have been one of those knives that's like, yeah, this is a cool knife. If you want one, go ahead and pick one up. If you don't really like the looks of it, though, you can pass. That's kind of what my thoughts would have been. But with the issues I had, I cannot recommend this knife. And it might only be this one that had all those issues. But I don't think so. Because not only did Jared have those issues, but I talked to other people who had issues with theirs either locking up or not locking out securely. And I don't know what the problem is. Again, I don't know why it's doing that, but I don't think I can recommend this knife. I'm going to try to wrap up this video. Because this has been a very long, very negative video, and I'm not sure how many of you watched all the way to the end, but we're going to try and wrap this up. But it's just, there's a lot I want to say. I can't really recommend this knife, but I'm not sure my recommendation means that much right now. Because these sold out very fast. Everyone who wanted one got one. And I'm sure White Mountain Knives will probably do another run of these. In fact, I think they've already said they're going to. But okay, I'm going to say something, and I am not throwing any shade at any other reviewers. I never want to have drama with anyone. So before anyone jumps on anything in the comments below, I'm not throwing shade at anyone. But what I'll say is, most of the reviews of this knife that came out in the, just a few days after it was released, and they were all overwhelmingly positive. And thinking about my own experience with this knife, I was so happy with it out of the box that if I had done the review in the week after I unboxed it, yeah, it would have been a positive review. It would have been fantastic. But like every knife I review, I never sit down to do a review until I have used the knife, until I feel like I know the knife enough to film a video. In the case of this knife, it took 5 months. Some knives, it doesn't take that long. This one did, because the more I used it, the more I realized I have no idea what the flip is going on with this thing. It continues to surprise me in horrible ways. It continues to disappoint me every day. And that just kind of sucks. That really does suck. And so, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know. I'm glad that I used this knife as thoroughly as I did to discover some of these issues. And before I sat down to do this video, in fact, like months ago, I was reaching out to other people I knew and like, hey, you have a Kizer Begleiter XL? And one guy I talked to, he's like, yeah, would you like to buy it from me? I was like, wow, that was fast. I said, no, I've got one. So I'm having some issues with it. He said, yeah, me too. And I was like, you tried to sell it to me? But a lot of people I talked to were having issues with theirs. Not everyone, okay? I don't want to make it sound like, you know, everyone was like, this knife ruined my life. But several people I talked to, I talked to enough people that had had bad experiences with it that it stood out to me. Because, I mean, there's duds in every batch of knife. Every knife batch has a couple duds. Lemons, oopsies, whatever. And, you know, I've talked to people with knives that I've had a horrible experience with, and they're like, whoa, mine is nothing like that. Yours probably has a weird issue, or, you know, yours is just something was wrong. And I'm like, you know, okay, fair enough. And that doesn't necessarily change my opinion on the knife, because especially as a reviewer, I can only review what I have. What I literally have in my hand. So, you know, and I don't typically get more than one version of any knife that I review. I do have a couple in, and it's always nice to have 2 versions of something just because, again, there's duds sometimes. But the number of people that I talked to that were having issues with this knife was unusual. And so, I mean, I can't recommend it. I cannot recommend it. And it hurts me to say that, because it is a cool knife. It really does hurt me to say it. And I gotta say, I have the worst luck with Kizer. A knife that I'm going to get a second version of. I know, I've been promising this since like the beginning of the channel. The Kizer Jungus. I had one that like, it didn't lock up. The liner didn't engage. Well, at first it had horrible lock stick. And then one day like, I couldn't unlock it. And so I like shoved the lock over, unlock the knife, and then it would just never lock up ever again. So that's not good. That's a horrible experience with it, with a knife. And I've always been wanting to get another one of that model in to compare against, so I can give a better review. A Kizer Lieb. I had a Kizer Lieb. I still have it actually. Horrible lock stick, and it has very early lockup. And early lockup with lock stick, in my experience, is never a combination you want. And then I had the Kizer Slicer, the big lockback. And that knife was cool, but then when I took it apart to do some maintenance and stuff on it, it was a pain and a half to get back in, and I stripped some screws, and it was just... I've had bad luck with Kizer. And so I bought this knife just recently to kind of, you know, compare against this one, but also to, I want a good Kizer. Everyone loves Kizer. Everyone raves about Kizer, and I don't get good Kizers. And it hurts my heart. But this one, I'm happy to say, is really good. The lockup is exactly where I want it. Not too early. A lot of Kizers, I think, have lockup that's too early. But it's got good lockup. No lock stick, which is really nice. So, I need to get more Kizers to review. But, anyways, I'm getting off topic. This knife was a big disappointment, and it makes me sad. But you know, if they do another run, maybe they'll fix the issues. I don't know. I can't say. As for right now, from my experiences, I cannot recommend that knife, even though it's working great for me right now. And I hope it stays this way because I'm kind of enjoying it. But the thing is, it was not always enjoyable, and so I cannot give it a solid recommendation. In fact, I'm going to give it a unrecommend. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Or dislike, you can do that too. And I guess let me know what you thought about this video style. I'll be honest with you, I hated this. I do not like showing my face that much on camera. But I don't know, if you guys liked this, let me know. Maybe we'll do more reviews like this. For me, with reviews, I mean, it's not like I don't like showing my face on camera. What I should have said was, when it comes to knife reviews, it's supposed to be the focus is supposed to be on the knife. So I like to have the camera down at the knife and with my hands on the table working on the knife, so you guys can see all the nice little details and everything. And so when my face is here, that kind of takes away from the knife because I'm just so beautiful. I know you're going to be paying attention to me and not the knife. But yeah, let me know what you thought. Maybe we'll do this more. Hopefully I can get a better filming location figured out. But yeah, until then, I've been Gideon. Sorry for the long video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye now.